storage class specifier is extern. Extern says that, well, for a variable, it says that there exists a global variable with this type and name. But at this point, I mean at this source code line, we should not, in general, reserve memory for that variable. Okay, there we will come to an exception later, which is non-portable, but it exists. Okay, global functions, they are by default, and global variables, they are by default visible in other files. So we actually almost never need to use extern. Okay, this is a special case that is not very relevant, but we can use size of with a variable that has no memory allocated to it. So this is fine. That's okay, since we only ask the size of this variable and we don't read the value of it. But if we would use an assignment to A, then somebody else must have reserved memory for A. We don't do it when we use extern. And the same, if we use read it, then also somebody has to reserve memory for A. So with only this, the program is not, it will not work, at least not in a portable way. So we have to remove that, or remove the extern. Okay, now we come to one of the most weird things in C. And this is a historical rest. But to be, the short story is you are allowed to use static int A and then extern int A. That is first static and then extern for the same symbol in this order, but not in this order. You are not allowed to use extern and then static. The reason why this rule exists is that in the early 70s it was preferable to allow the compiler to produce machine code on the fly, meaning it doesn't have to check the whole file before it starts producing machine code. This is called a one-pass compiler. And it can be the case that the compiler produces different code for static and for non-static variables or functions. Okay, so say the compiler sees this int fun. Okay, this function exists, and it's, since it doesn't have static, it is implicitly external. Okay, so it creates machine code for making a function call, assuming this function was has external linkage. But then it discovers afterwards that this function actually has internal linkage, meaning it's only visible within that file. And the machine code should have been different. Now, this is undefined behavior. Okay, so what should we have done? We should have written static here and not changed from static, from extern or implicitly extern and later become static. Nobody would write this. Well, this is legal but just crazy. This is illegal and also crazy, but no one would write this. But this is a possible scenario where this error is made, that we forget to use static. Okay, how to solve it? Either by writing static there or moving this function to before it was called, and then we can just skip all of this.